Hey everyone, welcome to Fragner Voices, a podcast where we talk about what it's really like to move abroad and find your place in a completely new culture. We're speaking from Berlin, but honestly, this could be anywhere. If you have ever packed your life into a suitcase and started fresh, this one's for you.
Exactly. We're not here to sound like experts or give you a list of do's and don'ts. This is more like a conversation with friends. The kind you have late at night when you're wondering if anyone else feels the same way about being away from home.
Right. Because when you first move to a new city, everything feels huge, like the streets, the language, even the silence. You go through that mix of excitement and that, like, what am I doing here? But that's what we're here to talk about, like that weird, beautiful process of adjusting to a new place. Yeah.
Well, today's episode is called Landing in Berlin. We'll talk about those first days, what surprised us the most, what confused us, and how all those little things somehow start to make sense later on. So, whether you're listening from a cafe, the train, or your new apartment, welcome to Fragner Voices.
Okay, so like let's start from the very beginning. Like the moment you arrive, right? There's this strange feeling that hits you when you step off that plane. Yeah, I think it's not just excitement. It's like awareness. Like you suddenly notice everything, the sounds, the people, the smell, and how nothing feels familiar to home.
Yeah, and it's almost like your brain starts recording everything at once. You're alert, curious, but also slightly lost. My first days here, a blur of new experiences. The train system looked like a puzzle. The language felt impossible. And the people, everyone seemed so composed. I kept thinking, do they ever get lost like me?
Same here. I remember looking around the city and feeling like it was designed by someone obsessed with order. The streets were clean, the buildings were tall and symmetrical. What caught my attention most was the quiet. Even in crowded places, people weren't loud. There's this unspoken rule of respecting space.
Yeah, totally. Like that can be hard for people who come from louder, like more expressive cultures like us. At first, it feels like, something's missing, right? The random small talk, the smiles. But I think that after a while, you start realizing it's not just coldness, it's like just a different way of existing in public. Like people are private, not like unfriendly.
Yo, and it's fascinating how quickly you begin to adapt. I remember in my first week, I kept saying sorry every time I bumped into someone on the train, and people would just nod. Now I just quietly move aside, and somehow it feels normal. You pick up there these little unspoken habits without even realizing it.
I think those first impressions teach you more than you expect. You start learning about yourself, how you react, what overwhelms you, what excites you. It's like the city becomes a mirror, reflecting parts of you that you didn't know existed.
Yeah, and like it's not just about the place itself, it's about the people you meet, right? Like in Berlin, you cross paths with people from everywhere, students, workers, families. Each one has a story, and every conversation like gives you a different new perspective. Like you start noticing that everyone is navigating their own version, let's say.
Whoa. I once met someone from Japan at a cafe who said something that stuck in me. He told me, at first, I wanted to Berlin to feel like home, but when I realized it doesn't have to, I can just be on my own home. That sentence kind of changed how I saw everything.
That's so true. You don't have to chase the feeling of your old home. You create new versions of comfort. For me, that started with small rituals, morning coffee, evening walks, exploring new neighborhoods. Those routines slowly build familiarity.
Yeah, and the funny part is you will notice like the exact moment when the city stops like feeling foreign. One day you'll just wake up and realize that like you're maybe not using Google Maps as much anymore, or that you're craving food from like local places instead of what you used to eat back home. I think that's when it hits you, like you've started belonging here.
After the first wave of curiosity phase, you enter what I call the real life phase. It's when you start building a routine, but everything feels new. You're trying to find a new balance between excitement and exhaustion.
Yeah, it's that weird middle ground where you're no longer a tourist, but not yet a local. You figured out how to buy groceries and where your favorite park is, but you still get confused about how the recycling works.
Yeah, but like the recycling thing, that really gets you, but that's part of it. Like adjusting isn't one big change, it's like a thousand tiny ones. From figuring out how public transport works to understanding when people actually dinner here, like every small thing adds up.
And along the way, you start noticing how this new environment changes your habits. You walk more, you plan ahead more, maybe you even still like in quiet moments. There's something about being in a place where everything feels organized that influences your mindset.
Definitely. I think one of the biggest shifts for me was learning to be okay with solitude. Back home, there's always something happening friends, family, noise. Here, I had to learn how to enjoy my own company. It's strange at first, but it becomes freeing.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like being abroad teaches you independence in ways that you don't even expect. You learn to trust yourself, like to handle things on your own, to make decisions, like just generally adapt. That doesn't mean it's always easy. There are always days when you feel homesick or when nothing like seems to go right. But I think those days matter too.
Yeah, because they make the good days feel earned, like the first time you understand a joke in another language, or when someone from here invites you to hang out. Those moments stay with you because they represent growth.
It's also about exploring your surroundings. Berlin, for example, has so many layers, from the artistic vibe of Friedrichstrain to the calm of Tiergarten. Every corner has a different rhythm. You find your favorite spots and start to make the city yours.
Yeah, and like, it's not just the city; it's the people you meet along the way. Like for example, other foreigners, locals, random strangers. Like you start building like a chain of relationships that makes experience richer. Like everyone adds something to this story. Yeah.
Eventually, you reach a point where things begin to settle. You survive the confusion phase, you have built new routines, and suddenly you're not just living abroad, you're actually living a new life.
Yeah, and like I think that's when the question changes. Like it's no longer when will I feel like home in this place, but rather what does home even mean now? Because once you live abroad, like home becomes something you carry within you, not just a single location.
That's beautifully said. I think home is a mix of memories, comfort, and connection. It's the people you care about, the places that make you feel calm, and the moments that remind you that you're growing.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Berlin or any city or where people from everywhere listens is that everyone is constantly redefining home. You meet people who have been here for years and still feel foreign, and others who arrived last month but already feel settled.
Yeah, and you know what? Through all of that, you realize that being a foreigner isn't just like a temporary label. It's just a reminder that you have already stepped outside of your comfort zone. And I think that's something to be very proud of.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about fitting perfectly. It's about finding balance. You can belong to more than one place at once. You can love where you're from and where you are now equally.
And that's the beauty of adoption. It teaches empathy, and you start understanding people's stories better and noticing what connect us rather than what separate us.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I feel maybe that's what this whole experience is about. Like, realizing that even in a city where you know no one, you're never really well alone. There's someone always figuring out like just like you.
Yeah, that's the heart of Foreigner Voices. We're all part of this big community of people trying, learning, failing, and growing together. Every story matters because every story helps someone else to feel understood.
So, if you're listening to this and you're new somewhere, take it slow. Let yourself make mistakes, explore, get lost, talk to people, and enjoy the ride.
Every city has its rhythm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Once you find yours, you see how naturally life starts to feel again.
So thanks for joining us in this first episode of Foreigner Voices. In our next one, we'll talk about cultural differences and all the funny misunderstandings that come with them.
See you next time on Foreigner Voices. Miguel!